welcome to the Accelerator podcast by Accelerate Coaching. I'm your host, Howard Bishop.
And I'm Ed Miles.
So, episode 2, New Year's resolutions and the barriers into training.
Happy New Year to all our listeners. Hope you enjoyed a good Christmas and are now settling back into their routines. Happy New Year, Howard.
Happy New Year, everyone. Did you do much over Christmas?
Went to France for a week, which was nice. See the family and that. What about you?
Nice. Yeah, just family stuff. Ate too much, drank too much. Usual Christmas break.
Yeah. A week and a bit now back into work, aren't we? Settling back in.
Yeah, ready to be training and rugbying again.
Obviously, getting back into the routines sets us up nicely for our episode today about New Year's resolutions.
Couple of top barriers we're going to go through and what stops people from training and stops people New Year's resolutions succeeding and how we break those barriers.
We'll also be looking at goal setting, because obviously it's January. A lot of people set goals, don't they, about getting to the gym, being healthier, happier, trying to be more successful this year than they were last year. We'll also be looking at why some people succeed and talking through that, and then why some people fail, looking at kind of the factors that play a role. And then we've got our special guest today, don't we?
Yeah, we do. So our special guest today, our very own Dave Cook.
The boss man himself.
Yeah, the boss man, Major Cook. Getting him on to talk about goal setting, not just from a fitness point of view, from what he did in the military and how he evolved. So if you don't know, Dave was a major in the British Army. He came out and wanted to get into the fitness industry, and that was his main goal in life. So how he built his own train like an athlete mindset, but then also how he delivered that train like an athlete mindset. So in this section, hashtag train like an athlete, we'll find out how Dave has used his train like an athlete mindset through his training in his various careers. First of all, welcome, Dave.
All right, Dave.
All right.
So Dave, how do you feel like you've applied the train like an athlete mindset into your training life career, and what do you think about that as a motto?
Train like an athlete to me wasn't just a mindset thing. When I first started thinking about training a little bit more in depth and becoming qualified, I tried to apply the things that I'd learned through my career and the people that had influenced me. So one thing that I always thought in the military was that a case of grizz fizz, and what I mean by that is you go as hard as you can for as long as you can, or as long as the PTI says, that's it. And then I met some quite inspirational people who brought about quite a lot of positives from training, and that was teamwork, communication, bond, work ethic, and that's something that's always been with me since a child. And I started thinking about, well, what does the fitness industry do? I'm going to go try some PT. So I paid several trainers to train me, and I said that my goal was very, very different, and I looked at what the industry was offering, and actually it was very shallow. It was a case of, oh right, so you want to be a bodybuilder, you need to look like this. Oh, you want to get lean, you need to look like this. Oh, you want to make your career in the military better, you need to do this. And actually it was all the same. So I started thinking, well hang on, who've been the people that have influenced me best? What has their mindset been? What is my mindset now compared to what it used to be? When things are tough, what do strong people do? What have we been taught? What have I learned? What have I witnessed? And I started to apply that to my own training. And it didn't just mean pick up a heavy weight and grizz it out. It didn't just mean pick up something heavy and run up top of a hill, although that was fun and that was enjoyable. And there is a benefit from doing grizz fizz. But you've got to come with a more, dare I say, holistic approach. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about flexibility. We're talking about body weight strength. You can't build a house on a swamp, and people don't seem to get that.
Set your own core values type of
Absolutely.
thing. Yeah.
So you're saying that your experience in the army and then experience with other people, these other trainers, kind of you've amalgamated all those things into one thing to kind of formulate your mindset.
And I've applied a lot of it, certainly in the latter stages of my career when I was probably in more of a leadership position, and quite quick turnaround for my soldiers and my peers for going to Afghanistan or Iraq. There's a lot of people who you've probably mentioned and I will mention. So, you know, Tim and Jacko from School of Calisthenics, they have quite similar principles to us. There's no surprise because we were friends previously and we've learned the same way. But again, even though they're calisthenics based, they talk about these things. And I think the point for me was, train like an athlete. Why should Mrs. Jones get a different service to
pro athlete?
Yeah, this is
Sonny Bill Williams?
Yeah, we spoke about this last time.
Why do we say to Sonny Bill, right, talk about shoulder mobility, we talk about CV endurance, we talk about power, strength. Well, yeah, he's pro, great, but why shouldn't Mrs. Jones do that?
Yeah.
You know, we talk about this neural connection and we say, you know, recruitment of motor units and things like that. that is essentially what you're taught at level 2 and level 3. So why is it not relevant for the average client? Of course it is. And if we're saying that active daily living, you want to get better at living, and people have a fluffy goal of just playing better with the kids, why wouldn't Mrs. Jones or Mr. Jones want to show the mobility?
And we spoke about that in episode 1 about how you need a holistic approach, and just because you can't do certain things, it doesn't mean you can never do those things. We get you from A to B, and how we can get that middle ground.
And you think that's what train like athlete to me means. Again,
not just kind of, I'm a runner, so I need to run. You need to look at everything.
And what involves is involved. While we're at it then, who are your top inspirations, and where have you found them along the way?
A lot of the people who have influenced me haven't been famous people at all.
No.
And there's one guy that springs out immediately, Spike Hughes, who was a PTI in the Royal Navy, now owns a gym in Cayman Islands, and he does a lot of combat fitness. But the things that he was doing back then, and the things he talked about, I suppose at the time they should have been standard, but they weren't. They were inspirational, and the way he approached training was
possibly
great.
Controversial as well.
Controversial, probably. Certainly in the military at that time, we were treated like athletes. We were given breakfast. We all had breakfast together. We then went for a run in the morning. We did weights in the afternoon, and really that instilled in me confidence. I think all of the things that I saw and read about, and have a go in the gym. So instead of just doing the same, bench press that, squat that, it was apply new things and different things.
Confidence is a big thing about what we'll come on to on the goal setting, because you've got to have those confidence to try and pull out what you want to achieve, and just setting above the bar, don't we, just comfortable.
And we see it here, don't we, that people don't want to be out of the ordinary. They want to do the same as everyone else. But you've got to start somewhere. And that's one thing that I do notice when you're training your clients. They come in here maybe underconfident, they want somewhere more private, and they leave completely confident. I'm going to join Dana Marriers, I'm going to go to CrossFit down the road, I'm going to go to wherever, I'm going to play rugby. It doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. That's the big thing.
So then the last one is who do you follow? You said The Rock already, and you said Arnie. I know they're quite big on social media. Is there anybody else you follow that really sort of pulls out at you, stands out?
I've been lucky enough over the last few years to be involved in education and CPD with personal trainers and sports people. And there's hundreds to name, but I like
got a few examples for people to follow potentially.
Huda Fit, probably. I know you've followed her. She's on Instagram. She's an Arabian girl, and she's doing some quite good stuff. Kaiser. So she trained Michelle Obama. She's had a couple of good projects over in the States. There's a few speed guys.
Both Kaiser and Huda both really focus on multi-directional movements, and they teach you how that just moving your limbs away from your body can be a real challenging thing. So they're two good ones to follow.
Rani Alashkin, she is certainly not. She's an athlete. I think those three individuals in particular break the barrier of being a woman and doing lifting.
Like that Simone Biles, the gymnast for the US. She's strong, she's fit, and she's 19 years old, and she looks great, and she clearly performing. So.
I mean, locally we've got Sarah GHB, who's a powerlifter for GB, and you've got Freya Morrow, who's a local lass from Doncaster. Both fantastic athletes, and great to follow and see, young women lifting quite decent weights. I follow Mark Dykes, who used to train with Mark before he got to UFC. I like some of the stuff he does, and some of the things his conditioners do with him. I watch a lot of NFL stuff. So Saints, the New Orleans Saints, they've got quite a good program going.
I love it over there, don't they?
That's a really good series on Amazon as well. If you follow the All or Nothing.
That's it.
All or Nothing. Yeah, that's good.
There's lots of them, all different ones.
I know what you mean.
If you follow the Man City, they've got loads of NFL teams. The All Blacks. It's really interesting on finding out a bit of background stuff about the staff and the players and the different aspects to pro sport. So
and then
a lot of people they want to get fitter, and they think, right, January the 1st I'm going to go out running. I need to run 10k, so I'm going to try and run 10k, but they've not run in 5 years, so they try their 10k. They get absolutely knackered after 500 metres.
And conversely, people then try and do a K. But again, they've not run for 5 years.
Exactly, but then
they don't know what it feels like.
They say, I'm so far away from my goal, I just might as well not bother.
And
then that's where they toss it off and just stay as they were for the last year.
Correct, or go backwards again. Next year when they try and do it again,
or it puts them off training because they've not enjoyed it because they're so far away.
Breaks their confidence.
It does break their confidence.
So that's why in the army as well, don't they make you make your bed. That's the first thing. They teach you how to make your bed right, and they, no matter what, that's a very simple thing, and no matter what, at the end of the day, you've got a made bed, and it's.
I think that goes back to ownership.
Yeah.
This is yours, same as your weapons and
after it.
everything else. This is your boots, your clothes. This is yours. This is your space. This is the one thing that you are in complete control of.
Yeah.
So the one thing, or the two things, or the three things that I'm in control of are the things that immediately attach to me.
Well, you can say the same thing about your own body.
Correct.
Yeah.
You're in charge of your own
Brush
body.
your teeth, the first thing. No matter what, you've got fresh breath every day.
Yeah, having a shave.
People are like, oh,
You know,
people are like, oh, I've started a new job. I've got fairly fat. It's just because I've got my new job. Well, it's not.
Yeah,
Because
it's
you
not.
are in
It's
charge
nothing
of
to do
what
with
you
your
do
job.
with
Yeah.
your body.
but yeah,
There's obviously
I think
these
that's-
put strain on you being able to
Well,
do
that
things.
comes on our next point. It says there is no bad days. People just have bad moments, but they make it a bad day by building up in their own mind. Don't.
It's like when people, like we spoke about in the last episode, about diet, where I've had this cookie, so I might as well just sack it off for the rest of the day and just have this pizza for tea.
You've just had a bad
you've had
moment.
a moment of weakness.
Yeah.
Having that one cookie for like 88 calories or whatever it is, it's just
It's
an
fine.
extra
Keep
88 calories. Just
moving
go back
forward,
to your
yeah.
normal diet. It's not going to be that bad.
At level 2, we teach but short, medium, and long-term goals.
Oh yeah, in the nutritional
so we teach
intervention. Yeah.
Absolutely, but we talk about habit. So habit forming. So your short-term goal is go to the gym from no times a week to 3 times a week.
Yeah.
That's a win.
You've got
That's
something like
success.
habits, haven't you?
Yeah. So the science behind it is, and it brings us nicely onto our next thing, is about habit forming. Technically takes 21 days, but if you want it to really stick, you need to do 27 days with the degree of accuracy. But then, realistically, that's why the government and things do Stoptober and Dry January, is because that's 31 days. If you can give it up for 31 days, you're pretty
probably,
sweet.
yeah.
I would actually extend that to 35. If you can do 35 days with or without something, you've made a habit. So 35 days of stopping smoking means you don't need it anymore. Your body physically doesn't need it. It's just changing your mentality. And then creating habit forming on, per se, a gym point of view, we'll come on to. But then if you can do just once a week for 35 days worth, no drama. And then
It's like
all of a sudden,
five sessions, isn't it?
yeah, all of a sudden you've only done 5 sessions, but you've created a habit. It goes through to
And
our
then when
next point about setting smart goals and smart targets.
I think when you talk about sport or smart, which I'm sure you'll go into, it's not just a simple. We probably sound blasé in the fact that we're saying it's easy because you do. I'm not trying to
No.
say that at all. You've got to look at the emotional factors and the social factors and things like that.
Yeah.
You're more likely to achieve something if your partner does it with you.
Yeah.
If you've got similar goals.
Yeah.
Everybody's stress and how they deal with it and how they interpret it is very different. And I've been there. It's not nice to feel that you are so fatigued and you're so busy that you can't go and do something that you love. So you end up punishing yourself by sacrificing the one thing that you like and love and know is going to feel good for everybody else and everything else. And that's quite a tough thing. Why am I going to the gym when I'm this busy? Well, actually, by going to the gym, I'm going to create myself space.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm going to be able to think methodically and logically. And actually, one of the big problems that I might have, and also it's a very small problem because I've had time to invest in me.
The A of smart is achievable, that making sure that it is achievable to you. You shouldn't care about anybody else, easy to say, but if you make it achievable to you, so even if it's like Dave mentioned earlier, just walking down the street, like walk to the shops, right? Who cares what everybody else thinks? If you do that, you've ticked that box already, you've made it partly smart already.
So one big thing that people do is they go too hard too early. So I touched on it earlier with running the 10k, going to the gym, go straight into the deep end, trying to train 6 days a week, run 10k.
And copy your inspiration.
Yeah, so like they see that Arnie used to train every day, etc., and then jump straight in, try and do that, and then they can't do it, so then they either drop off, get injured, they drop out and they don't do it, something like that.
Not
And then-
measuring the intensity
Yeah.
to what they've been used to. That's the
And not building a house on a swamp. So
Yeah.
there's no build-up. It's-
They've just gone swamp, house.
Straight in.
Like, there is science behind training every day. I'm not saying it's bad, but if you were to get into training, it's not ideal for you to train every day.
People will come, they've never trained before, they'll have a day in training, and then the next day they're absolutely knackered and they can't move because they've never trained before.
Yeah.
You need that day's recovery if you haven't trained, at least a day. And we talked about DOMS in the last episode, but if you have that delayed onset of muscle soreness, it's going to happen 24 to 48 hours after, so you're going to be in pain if you've never done anything.
Sometimes you'll be in pain for like a week. We've trained a few people who've trained on the gym on their own, but they obviously plateaued. They come to us and said, I want to get better. So we throw in all these different things that they've not been doing before, and they come back, can't walk, can't move their arms, because their body's not used to it. They're used to sagittal movements only.
For us, we put that Tuesday session in to mix that up. So we have a posture and mobility session on a Tuesday. It makes people move in different ways, and generally they love it or hate it, because it gives them a lot of pain, gives them soreness or uncomfortable, because they've never done it before, and we move them into ranges that they've never been used to.
And they leave feeling really good because they can move all these different, like the range is increased everywhere, but then they wake up the next day and they're like, oh.
That leads us into the next bit about volume as well. So we'll put this in a different context. So say you're doing dry January, and then that doesn't mean you've created habit forming now that your body doesn't need it, but the amount of volume that you'll go back to will break that habit straight away. So if you go from having nothing of something for, say it's chocolate for 35 days, you've done your 35 days, and then you have a whole big bar, you've almost broken it straight away, because you need to bring it back in moderation again. So like dry January, if you go out on a big binge the first week of February, it's gonna break that habit forming.
But it gets everything in moderation.
If you bring it back in moderation is the key. So then once you've proved to your body you don't need it, or you do need it if it's gym, and then you can bring the other things back in moderation.
It's the same as going to the gym. There's an emotional attachment. You feel good by doing it, but again, take everything in moderation. So build resilience into your own structure, build redundancy.
So the next points then are two very training based ones. So fasted cardio is a big thing around.
Bodybuilders love it, don't they?
Bodybuilders love it. So let's say the good about it. The good about it is, if you have less energy in your body and then you use up what is left, it should have benefit.
On paper, it makes quite a lot of sense.
Perfect sense on paper. Realistic terms, what it brings is that you have that amount of energy throughout the day, no matter what, and you're putting that another amount in. It doesn't matter whether you do it in the morning, the evening. That amount of calories is getting burnt, regardless of where it is.
For high-end athletes, let's call bodybuilder a high-end athlete because he is. He puts himself through it mentally, physically, emotionally, and all this thing. For them, it works for the reason they state. The thing is, Tommy Jones down the road, who's a 21-year-old lad who's going to beef with the boys, he doesn't need to treat himself like a bodybuilder if he's not already training that way. No. And that's the problem. Magazines and all the rest of it put these people in front of us, and we have an unnecessary, realistic expectation of ourselves based on the Instagramization, if you will, of society.
Some people it suits, because they get up early in the morning, they just go straight to the gym, don't eat, they just go on the treadmill, they come home, they have breakfast to go to work. It fits into their life, it's them doing exercise, it's ticking the box. And when they've looked at studies for fasted cardio versus fed cardio, where you eat before and then train,
it makes no difference.
There's not really a difference, it's just kind of, but then if you then compare fasted cardio, fed cardio, and then no cardio, I think you'll find the difference.
Yeah, that's the problem we said with last time with all the studies. They never do all three. It's either one or the other.
Well, and one thing you can't measure and talk about often is the emotional attachments and those things. And I said it again. I've said it 3 times now. Ultimately, if it stops you over indulging in something, then do it. That's the point, isn't it? Get it into your routine. If it makes you feel better for that day and keeps you motivated longer, makes you have an early night and not go the boozer, then that's a good thing, it's a positive thing. So you're saving calories from elsewhere. So
it's what works for you as well. Like I said, that's the good. If it works for you, then great.
If it fits in, it fits in. Exactly. Don't be stressing. I need to get up earlier so I can do fasted cardio, because you end up
getting up at 3 a.m. and having a long day. What's the point?
So then the last one, training split. So again, this is a very, very bro science thing based from bodybuilding, and bodybuilding does work. We're not bashing that, but what the training split means is that you essentially train 2 body parts, usually the secondary, or you work the antagonist to the muscle. I personally feel that this can work. I don't choose to do this, but when you do, say, chest and triceps, it does have scope because you're fatiguing the muscle by using the secondary. But I think that the way people do it is they get lost in what the science is, so then they'll do a split with chest and legs, and you think, well, that's nothing to do with then fatiguing the muscle.
Everything's right if you kind of justify it.
You can justify it.
If you justify it to you, it makes you feel good, then crack on. But the thing is, there's different splits. There's your 6-day split and all the rest of it. I think the common thing that I see in the gyms, it was particularly young lads, not necessarily young ladies. I think young women actually, when they do their splits, they seem to do more work. Yeah. So they won't just do squat and deadlift. They'll do all these wonderful things, but they do more. Whereas lads will go in and go, right, well, it's chest day today. Well,
all sagittal.
I've got bench, I've got incline press, I've got flies, and then I'm done. Yeah. Well, all of a sudden, okay, it might work for the first 3 weeks. After 8 weeks, it ain't going to work. The volume of work needs to increase, and all this. And again, let's take away this issue. It ties in, and it's probably a bit boring. Your muscles don't have brains, so how can you make the muscle? Guess you can't. Now I understand the training, adaptation, and working out, but your muscle doesn't have a brain. It's your brain through the nervous system and motor control.
Their split always seems to have arms in it on any day. That's why lads do it, because they want big guns. But
they'll do 6 days, but the volume of work isn't enough to change or challenge them, and I think that's the key.
Or it will be to start with,
and then
then they'll keep going. It'll go.
Yeah. Another thing as well is before about putting yourself into fatigue.
Another thing as well.
And the only thing that makes you grow is overload, and you can't overload. You do the same thing all the time.
And so, let's say you train Monday to Friday, and you do your chest and tries on a Monday, back and bis on Tuesday, legs on a Wednesday, shoulders on Thursday, but arms on a Friday. But then what people do is they'll have that thing, and then they'll go Monday, do their chest and triceps, whatever. But then they can't go to the gym on Tuesday because they're at their cousin's birthday. So they go on Wednesday, and then they do that. But then they've skipped it, and then they get back to Monday again, and they've not done one from last week. But then they just go back to check.
Like Dave said, if it works, it works. But it's everybody's different. That's the big thing. Is that people forget that. Especially trainers forget this, is that just because it works for that trainer doesn't mean it's going to work for every individual. You have to be personal, and that's the personal part of personal training.
So remember that joints move in 3 planes, and often we end up tripping up. We don't pay attention to different hand position, foot position. I know the fitness industry generally is getting better at that, so you've got businesses like Escape Fitness and Ziva and I who are now thinking about how can we promote this more functional training and get this this multi-plane movement going. So I know that that's happening, but it'll catch up with everyone eventually. If we call multi-directional or multi-plane movements supplementaries, I think it works far better, and I think you get far more people buying into it.
Section, the finish line. This is where we fire out quick fire questions and see how Dave answers them, ready to tee us up for our next month's episode.
You ready, Dave?
I think so.
Hopefully you're better at answering these questions
than we were, yeah. So let's go. So, favourite food?
Steak.
Oh, strong. Do you like coffee or tea more?
Coffee, probably.
Favourite superhero?
Thor.
Yes.
Same as Ed.
Squats or deadlifts?
Dead.
Weights or cardio?
Weights.
Rehab or prehab?
Prehab.
Yeah, prevent injury.
Yeah.
Favourite holiday destination?
America.
I thought you were going to say Liverpool.
Yeah.
Are you a starter man or a dessert man?
Starter, extra meat.
Yeah, I love that. That's my thing as well.
Most underrated exercise?
Kettlebell swing or snatch.
Love a good snatch.
Hey.
Best rehab tool?
CMT. I love it. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. With the missus or with the lads?
Sorry, Joe.
What are we doing?
On the lash with the lads or on the lash with the missus?
I like the lads. I like going on lash with the missus as well, though.
Okay. Good save. Very
good
diplomatic.
Save. Sat on the fence.
Worst injury you've ever had?
ACL, MCL.
At the same time?
Yep.
Rough. Favourite footballer?
Ratcliffe.
No.
Skiing or diving?
I like a good ski. I don't mind diving from time to time.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Is dancing an Olympic sport?
Olympic, no.
It's not worthy of the Olympics.
It is in this Olympics, but
you don't think it should be there?
Hey, whoa, don't be putting words in my mouth. It's a funny one, isn't it? It depends what type of dance we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, dancers are great athletes, but is it a sport?
What defines a sport?
We'll get into that later.
Budgie strugglers or swim shorts?
I'm in between pest, man. I like a good pest short.
Tight shorts.
Yeah.
Would you rather order a beer or a cocktail?
Beer.
I would have said both. I'll go for both.
3 of each, please.
Yeah. Ferry gun, is it a good or a bad tool?
I think there's benefits to stuff like that, but not what they say for marketing.
I think this is the same answer for this one as well. Foam roller, good or bad?
Yeah, yeah, again, it can be used as a tool, but it's not for the reasons that people think.
Yeah.
The whole fact that we can change fascia is limited for me and for the research as well. So
Yep.
I think there's an emotional and mental thing that you've got to be able to play with people in order to get them to where they want to be.
Yeah.
Eventually you can wean them off it, but if that's what they believe in and makes them happy and makes them sound, do it.
We need a whole new episode just for foam rolling.
And
Very good.
Theraguns.
Yeah.
And therapy and massage and all the rest of it.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. Thanks, Dave, for joining us on the
Cheers,
podcast
Dave.
this week. Places of interest for the future: accelerate-coaching.com to find out all of our technical information. At Accelerate Coaching on Facebook, or at Accelerate_coaching on Instagram. Submit any questions on goal setting you may have, or you can speak to us through the links that I've just said via email. Next time we're going to look at injury and rehabilitation. We said that we were going to do that before, but we are actually going to do it on the next one.
Teasing you.
We'll do a poll on Facebook and Instagram to see which things you want to hear about, and then if you want to follow me, I'm at Bish1990 on Instagram, and
I'm at EdDM Miles.
And Dave.
You don't want to follow me, but we will put some links on of people that you might want to follow, a bit more interesting than me, out there that are doing some good stuff.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Cheers.
Cheers.